Hi, in this video we're going to use Windows Server 2012 R2 to generate user and computer certificates so that we can use them for EAP-TLS within Cisco ICE. First of all, we need to head over to our server, and on the dashboard click Tools and Certificate Authority. Expand your domain and click on Select Certificate Templates. Right click and Manage. First of all, we'll complete a workstation template. So what we'll do is we'll just duplicate the template by right clicking and duplicate template. Now we'll just head over to General and we'll change this name. So we'll call this Lab Workstation Template. Request handling we can leave as it is. Head over to subject name. We want to include the user principal name, UPN. And if we head over to security, we need to make sure first of all that we clicked on the right group. So for instance, mine is any domain computers. I'm going to allow to auto-enroll, enroll, and read. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and click apply and OK. So that's our first template created. So now we'll create one for the users. So we'll right click on user, duplicate template. We'll start off with general and we'll give this a name of lab user template. Request handling, we don't want to allow the private key to be exported, so make sure that that box is not selected. For our lab user template, we need to then go over to extensions and then edit, and we need to add server authentication. So we select that and OK. We'll go to security, and any domain users we will allow to auto-enroll and also read again. And subject alternative name we shall leave as it is, so that's fine. So we'll go ahead and click apply and OK. So once that's done, we can click off of the certificate template console and return back to the certificate authority template. And on this page, what we need to do now is right click on certificate template again, because we need to add this. So we'll just do new certificate template to issue. Then if we find both of our templates and select those and OK, we can see that both templates have now been successfully input into the templates. I'll just go ahead and remove that one while it's there. So that we can actually auto-enroll, we need to now push these, or give the ability to push these certificates out to our domain computers and users via group policy. So what we need to do is go to Tools, Group Policy Management, expand your forest. Depending on your domain, it might be slightly different. Expand domains, and for the purpose of this video, we'll just use the default domain policy. And we'll go ahead and edit this. And we've got computer configuration and user configuration. So we'll start off with a computer configuration. we'll expand policies, Windows settings, just give it a minute to load. And security settings. And if we click on our public key policies, we can now see that at the bottom we have a certificate service for auto enrollment. Double click on that and we can see by default it's actually not configured as enabled. So we'll just go ahead and we'll enable that. We'll also allow to renew expired certificates, update pending certificates and remove revoked certificates. And we'll also update certificates that use certificate templates. Click apply and OK. And we'll close that, and now we'll do the same for users. In my case this might already be enabled, but we can certainly check. Security settings, public key, auto enrollment. So yeah, this is already enabled, but you essentially follow the same steps as we just did. So enable the configuration model and tick both radio buttons that allow you to revoke expired certificates and update certificates, and click OK on that. So with that completed now, we should be able to auto enroll our machines and users with certificates. So if we click off that now and click off that, and I'll just bring up one of the domain computers, and let's just verify at the minute that it doesn't have a certificate for the machine or the user. So we'll just click MMC. We'll add our certificate snappings. So we'll add the user, and we'll also add the computer, local computer. Okay. So if we have a look at the current user, personal, you can see that there's nothing in there for certificates. And if you have a look at the local computer certificates, we can see that there isn't one in there. So what we'll go ahead and reload this computer and have group policy push the policies, which should then enable us to show the certificates. So while I do that, this will disconnect, so I will pause this video and come back once this screen is back on. So now that our domain computer has rebooted, we can see if the certificates have been pushed successfully. So to do that, press your start, then MMC, and then the same again. So we go to File, Add and Remove Snapping, Certificates, Add your user certificate, add your computer account certificate for the local computer, and click OK. So if we click on personal certificates, we can see there now that we've got a second certificate. So this is the actual, it's actually been signed by the certificate authority, which is the server, and it's signed using the machine name and the domain. So that's for the machine certificate. Now if we take a look at the user certificate, it's actually not in there. The user certificate is not in there because I didn't add auto enrollment for the admin group. But now that I've done that on the server, I'll just quickly do a GP update and see if we can push it down. So you could also attempt this instead of restarting the computer. GP update, and we'll force that. And if you cannot see the user certificate, which is the same in my case right now. We can head back over to Active Directory and do some troubleshooting. So what we'd normally do is, let's just open the certificate authority again, and we can look at, it's already on, so we can look at failed requests. So we can see that we've got a number of failed requests, and we can see that the reason is that the email name is unavailable and cannot be added to the subject or the SAN field. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll change that now. So if we go into Active Directory users, and if I put an email address like Calvin Lab .co.uk, we'll apply that, and then we'll do another GP update. So we're currently on 22 as a request ID, so we can see if this field is populated. If we go on to issue certificates, we can see that our desktop has been given a certificate which we validated earlier. We'll just go back to our machine, and we'll just do a GP update. So we can take a look now that the GP update is finished and see if it's now being pushed. So certificates, and as you can see there, it's been the certificate is now being pushed. So if we just double click on that, you can see that's being issued by our CA server. And you can see the reason that it wasn't populating at first is because the field in the Active Directory for the user, the email address was blank. Now you can see that it's actually been populated. So we can actually verify this as well, even though we verified it on the user PC. We can verify this by going back over to Active Directory and looking at the issue certificates. So you can see that their 24 is now issued, and our failed requests, it doesn't have one in for the user Kelvin. So that's essentially how you create user and computer certificates with auto enrollment, so that you can then specify specific fields from the certificates in your ICE policies for EAP-TLS authentication. Check out my other videos where I'll actually be covering different policies to do with ICE, matching different fields within EAP-TLS. But for now, thank you for watching.